Hi guys. Whoosh. Hey, you're welcome back to my channel, to another episode of Nysc Thoughts. And yes, today we'll be continuing our conversation, part 2, loading now. How are you today? How is everything with you? I hope that you're good, even in the midst of the sometimes not so good situations that happens in our lives. We thank God for He is good and His mercies endure forever. You are welcome back to my channel. My name is Oluwatoyin, which means God is worthy to be praised. Toyin for short, and Ty for shorter, which is where we get Nysc Thoughts from. And maybe that's where I should start from. This is part 2 of a little bit about myself. If you did not watch part 1, somewhere here or here on the screen, one of these two places, I would put a link to the video so that you can catch on all of the gist in part 1. And I'm just going to continue from where we stopped in part 1. But I just remembered that when I was younger, I actually didn't like my name, Oluwatoyin. And the only reason is because I just thought that's such a common name. Like before you turned your head, 10,000 other people were just Toyin. But I realized that the problem was I just didn't like the name because I thought it was popular, but I didn't actually understand the meaning of the name. Growing older and understanding the meaning of my name, I have come to appreciate, but actually indeed love my name. Names are actually important. What we call ourselves, what we name our children is actually so very important, because every time that a name is called, it is something that is spoken or declared into the life of that person. And we all know the power of words. What you consistently declare into someone really is what they would become. So be very careful what you call yourself, whether it's a nickname or whether it's your name. If you need to change your name, feel free to do it. And if you are naming your children, prayerfully ask God what you should call them. It is so powerful. Anyway, so yes, that's the first thing about myself. I didn't used to like my name, but now I love my name because I understand the meaning of my name. And sometimes the reason why we don't necessarily appreciate some things in our lives is because we are not coming to them from a place of understanding, right? Okay, that wasn't part of this video. I did not even start this video with that in mind. Going back to where we stopped from in the last a little bit about myself, and I must start by saying I received everyone's messages, comments. I saw the comments in the comment section. People even sent me DMs to talk about this and talk about that. I'm grateful that in what seemed to be gisting, people were blessed, and indeed lessons were drawn from some of the nuggets that I shared, and all of your comments have been noted. I have noted them. I will just follow them chronologically. So for people that sent in, talk about this, talk about that, wherever they flow in the grand scheme of the story, I will talk about them like that. And if I remember correctly, we stopped at the part where I was talking about going for Nysc, and I was posted to Zamfara. Nysc, sorry, not NYSE, Nysc. Now, if you're not Nigerian, you don't live in Nigeria, you're wondering what Nysc is. Nysc stands for National Youth Service Corps, and it's something that we do here in Nigeria, where when you finish your university degree, everyone is, well, it's mandatory, but doesn't mean everyone necessarily does it, but everyone is expected to go for a 1-year service in another part of the country. So not the part where you schooled, and many times they try to take you to somewhere that is not necessarily the state or close to the state or even the tribe or the region that you're from, and there is a whole history to that, but we won't go into that history today. So when I finished school, I schooled in Lagos. Lagos is in the southwest of Nigeria. I was sent to Zamfara. Zamfara is in the north, but it's far north. And nobody wanted me to go. Nobody wanted me to go because it was just really far away. I mean, I remember I had to do night buses from Zamfara to Lagos. First, we had to go from Zamfara to Kaduna to Kano, and then come from there to Lagos. The whole of this was like a 14-hour journey. So, I mean, almost like a 24-hour journey, but one was broken and one was broken. So it was just a very far distance. So my parents, my family didn't want me to go. And also, not long before that time, this was in 2006-ish, Sharia law had also just been imposed in Zamfara. So nobody was really sure, you know, what the whole state of things was going to be like, just all sorts of things. So it was just a lot of uncertainty. However, this me that you are looking at, I was determined to go to this Zamfara state. And let me explain why. Because it wasn't just blind faith or blind believing or blind optimism, as the case may be. Remember that I said I gave my life to Christ in university, and one of the things that built in me at that time and even till now, it was a complete, genuine, solid trust in God. So when something like seeing my posting to Zamfara, you know, came to me, I didn't take it ordinary. NYSC could have chosen to throw me or send me, not throw me, anywhere in the world, in Nigeria. But for the fact that it was Zamfara, to me, it was just so purposeful and just so full of, it was just so divine. I'm not even joking. I just felt it so divine that I said, you know what, I am going to go. I had to beg my family. I had to beg my mother. Eventually, my father had agreed, but my mother hadn't yet agreed. And she came to this deal with me where she said, okay, you know what, go for the 3 weeks. But what I'm sending you to do is in that 3 weeks orientation camp. So once again, for those who don't know what happens, for NYC, there's a first 3-week orientation camp where everybody that has been posted to that state gathers in a camp for 3 weeks. We are taught, we are not taught, I mean, we do all sorts of military drills and styles and all of that. For me, it was an amazing, crazy, intense, all sorts of experiences joined together, but it was amazing. And then, so she told me that when you go for that 3 weeks, all I want you to do is just find out how you deploy yourself and come back telling me you've been deployed to Lagos. I said, yes, ma. But in my heart of hearts, I knew that's not the plan. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to this Zamfara and make sure that by the time I'm coming back, it is to say, you know what, my fate is sealed. They say it's not possible. So I got to Zamfara, and I'm going to share two things. No, one thing that happened to me in camp and one thing that happened to me afterwards in this journey of NYSC that really are just markers that are, for me, lifetime markers in my walk with God and my journey of faith. So I got to camp. Remember that because there was a tussle, don't go, I got to camp a day late. So by the time I got to camp, the day after I had gotten there, they had done this thing called the parade, the maybe coming in parade. I don't even know what that one in particular was called, but the camp opens with a parade. So I had missed the parade. But why that hurt me is because I don't do any sports. Like, I don't do any sports, but I love to march. You won't see me in 100 meters, 20. I don't run, I don't jump, I don't do this. But when it comes to marching, like in secondary school, you will find me in the marching squad. So I got to camp. I joined the march whatever for my platoon, the squad for my platoon, and we're preparing for the passing out parade. So there's a parade at the beginning, there's a parade at the ending. Now, one of these days we were on the field, and then I saw this special set of people. They're just about 7 or something. Some people are holding a certain thing. 2 people are holding the flags. So I asked one of my platoon members, a fellow copper, we're called coppers, and I said, who are those people? And he says, oh, that is the color party. And I'm like, oh, how'd you get to join the color party? And he says, oh, no, they had already been picked from the coming in parade. So they're the same people that will do the passing out parade. I wanted to die. I was so heartbroken, like, oh my God, I would love to be in the color party. But he said they had already been picked. So I said, no problem, but it truly hurt me. But hey, that opportunity had passed, we move on. A couple of days to pass out parade. I think it was 2 days to pass out parade. All of us are on the field in all our platoons, so we're actually doing a rehearsal for the parade. All of us were on the field in our platoons, marching, and then the RSM comes on the field. Now, till today, I don't even know what RSM means. I mean, when I say RSM, it's like the head of the camp, like the head military something. Like I don't even know what it means till now. The RSM comes on the field and he's watching all of us march. He's working closely with the color party just to make sure that what they're doing is correct, and he's generally just scanning the field, and he's watching all of us. And then I noticed that he then begins to look at my platoon closely. He's right in the middle of the field. We are not like close to him. He is in the middle of the field, far away, but he's looking at my platoon. And the next thing, he walks up to my platoon and he tells myself and somebody else to just, really be marching. Raise your knees, march. And in mind, I'm wondering, okay, but we have been marching since. We're already tired. We've been there for like 30 minutes. And then he goes, stop. Then he looks at me and says, go and join the color party. People, I wanted to faint. Like, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Like, I was just like, what just happened right now? He says, go and join the color party. So apparently someone had left camp some days to pass out parade that was part of the color party. So he was on the field to replace that person. I, that was desiring to be in color party, did not know. What did that tell me? Oh my God, that was one of the most powerful things God did to me at that time. That when you have a desire in your heart, oh, thank you, Holy Spirit. Just thinking about it now, I am almost emotional. When you have, there are some dreams, there are some prayers that you don't necessarily pray that God answers. That for me is one of the miracle markers in my life. That anytime I feel something is not happening the way I think it should happen, or life is just showing itself, I remember that incident. And I'm like, God that could have put me in color party can do anything in my life. That was such a powerful testimony for me. Just like that. I didn't know anybody. I wasn't there at the beginning. This was 2 days to the passing out parade. I got to camp and one desire of my heart was, God, how I wish I was part of the color party. 2 days to the passing out parade, I'm called to be part of the color party. Who does that? And I'm saying this to say that many times in our lives, we have to, the things that God does for us, that you know that this could only have been God, never forget them. Use them as faith markers on your journey. Use them as points of remembrance, points of gratitude, points of thanksgiving, especially when you get to hard places. There are some times that is all I need to remember and my faith is boosted, like, God of color party. He'll do it for you. That is one of my powerful experiences from Nysc camp in Zamfara. So all of that happened, camp was over, and I was posted to the capital, Gusau. And one of the things that I made sure that I did, remember that I said, for me, my family had said, redeploy, come back saying that you have redeployed to Lagos. Instead, what I did, I went to the city, I got a place to stay, I paid for housing. I'll never forget, I paid 15,000 naira in 2007 at that time for a copper. That was money. So I paid for that house. And the way that I said I was going to say was, look, nobody spends 15,000 and will not go back. Because like I said, that was money. I paid for accommodation. So I got back. I said, Mom, it didn't work out. I have to go back. So I told her that actually she should be happy. I was posted to the capital. In fact, I was given a good place to work, the chamber, the Ministry of Chamber and Commerce. All of this happened without me knowing anybody, pressing any buttons, doing nothing. And I said, to even cap it all up, I've gotten great accommodation. It was a brand new house. I told her it's a brand new house, cost me 15,000 naira. I bled to pay that money. I didn't bleed in Jesus' name. But, it was a brand new, beautiful place. I was in a room all by myself. So it was a 5-bedroom bungalow. 5 of us took it. My wonderful friends that I made at Zamfara, myself, Eno, Yomi, and Simon. And then there was one other person that wasn't a copper that was in the last flat. And so she didn't have a choice. She said, go back. But I'm telling this story because God surprised me once again. So when I was going to go back to Zamfara, I was going to take a flight. So I took a flight to Sokoto. And from Sokoto, because there's no airport in Zamfara, took a flight to Sokoto, and then from Sokoto, I'll do a road trip to Zamfara. I got to the airport. God is amazing, guys. And for some weird reason, the flight was, I can't remember what happened. Something happened. I'm trying to remember what happened, but I know that for some reason, the actual seat I was given, something was happening. The Shah said I should go and sit in another seat that wasn't allocated to me, which was where I sat. And there was this white man, I'll never forget him, that sat beside me. We struck up a conversation. I don't even know how or why. And he just said, oh, young girl, something. And I explained, and I said, oh, I'm going for my Nysc. I'm going to Zamfara. And then he goes, oh, tell me about your family. And I remember thinking to myself, why are you even talking to a stranger like this? And the next thing, I mentioned my father's name. And he looks at me. And he says, oh, did your father work in such and such and such a place? I said, yes, he knew my father. They had worked together. What are the odds that on a flight, when my seat was changed, I will sit beside a random person, for some reason strike up a conversation that led to me calling my father's name, and this man then says he knows my father. But that is not the testimony in the story. We're about to land, and then the man says, you know what? I'm going to give you something. He brings out his wallet, counts money. Who can guess how much the money was? 15,000 naira. The exact amount of money that I had literally sown as a seed. And I said, God, because I am taking this place. I mean, there was so much more cheaper accommodation around. But number one, if I was going to stay here for 1 year, please, I gotta be comfortable. And number two, I really just wanted to say, CEO, family, this is a lot of money that I dropped for these things. So you guys gotta let me go back. I got on a plane going back, and I'll meet someone that gave me exactly 15,000 naira for I don't know what reason under the sun. You cannot tell me there is no God. And you cannot tell me that God is not good. And you cannot tell me that God does not see, God does not know, God does not watch. And that is another miracle faith marker that I have. That is another powerful landmark in my life. That anytime I enter a place of need, I say, God of 15,000, you did it before, you can do it again. Amen. Hallelujah. Okay, so this video is already getting much longer than I thought. I actually want to check. I wrote down the chronology of how I was going to have today's conversation. So I won't just talk. But the video is already longer than long in just telling one Zamfara story. Anyways, I had an amazing time in my NYC. Amazing time. One of the experiences I'll never forget is Rural Rugged. I think I have pictures from Rural Rugged. Hopefully, let me see if I find them. I'll put them up, where we go into real, villages and spend 1, 2, 3 days, and it's a form of evangelism, but at the same time that we're ministering to them, we're giving them things, making their hair. Oh my God, that 1 year was a life-changing experience that I will do again and again and again and again and again. And there's so many experiences that happened to me that just pointed to God's faithfulness. And that's exactly why I wanted to go, because I knew that it was a moment of destiny, that there was such a divine appointment, and there were things that God wanted to do in my life that could only have been done if I allowed myself to have that experience. And I'm just grateful to God that I went through that. And coming back to Lagos, and I say this, I'm going to say this part to say all these things where if you're a young person, they throw you somewhere to serve and you're not going there because you're telling yourself, there are opportunities in Lagos, there are opportunities in Lagbaja, there are opportunities in Tamedo, who wants to go and kill yourself? Let me tell you what happened to me. Now, before I had gone to NYC, I had already started going to some broadcast houses because I really wanted to do broadcasting. So I'd dropped my letter. In fact, I'd gone to a particular broadcast house where I'd been told, because you're going for NYSC, go and come back. So fast forward to when I came back. And like I said, I came back, I think, end of February, beginning of March. Myself and a friend, so we had already started talking about where would you work, what do you want to do, what do you want to do. I went back to that organization. They said, okay, we'll look at a comeback. And then I started applying to different broadcast organizations. And I remember one day I was watching TV. Wow, I'll never forget. I was in my friend's house and we saw the show on TV, Moments with Mo. It just looked so amazing. And my friend just said, Tony, this is the kind of place you should go and work. It was a random conversation. And I'm going to tell you how this miracle happened. The very next day, guys, she calls me up and she says, you won't believe it. Lola Gani Yusuf, I'm sure you remember this story. I purposely called your name because it is you. And I said, what? She said, they get newspapers in her house every day. And she was just reading this paper. And right there, she saw hiring for Inspire Africa Limited, which was the company Moments with Mo was under at the time. They're hiring young, passionate, blah, 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 blah. The very next day after we watched that thing on TV, and she says, Twin, you have to apply. I'm like, definitely, I'm going to apply. What they say we should do, write some inspiring speech about how you can something inspire Africa. Hey, I live for inspiring Africa. So I wrote my speech, I applied, I got a call back, come for an interview. I went for that interview. And I'm telling the story just to build someone's faith. We like to believe this thing we tell ourselves in Nigeria: if you don't know somebody, if you are not Kinikan, if nobody help you, if something, you cannot something, Nigeria, please, stop all those things. It's not everybody that has to know somebody that opportunities open for. Don't fall for all this, know somebody. I'm not saying it's not good to know people, but there are many things you reach for. That is not that you, quote unquote, knew somebody. But when you enter that door, favor will follow you. And you know what you are doing, you are well studied, you are well researched, you are well read, the lines will fall in pleasant places for you. I went for this interview. I was two things, the youngest and the least experienced. People came for that interview. People were working with DBN at the time. People were working with MBI at the time. TV stations. Me, I was the youngest. I had just come back from NYSC a month ago. I have no experience except that I'm saying I acted on a TV show. The only other thing I'd done was radio presenting in school. So I was on all fronts. We're about 20-something in that interview. I was the youngest and the least experienced. Guess what, guys? 6 of us were picked. I was one of them. It doesn't make sense. I knew nobody. 6 of us were picked. I was one of them. And I remember when Mrs. Abudu was going to tell me why, and she just said, I just believe that you are young and we can train you, and you just showed yourself to be passionate and to be ready to learn, and I decided, let's give you a chance. And that chance entirely changed my life. And thank you, Mrs. Mo Abudu. That was, for me, what I would call the best foundation in terms of where I would officially first work in my life. It was the most solid, most stretching. God. We worked like, that was when I even knew sometimes the kind of capacity that I had. But I always say that your first job should be a job that stretches you. Your first job should be a job that stretches your mind, stretches your body, Let it just destroy and shatter you, so that every other thing that you're building on top of that, it will just be like soft meat. But if you start on soft meat, then you go somewhere, they are saying this, and you're like, we're not doing it like that where we're coming from. Because of that foundation, there is nowhere that I've worked that I felt stressed, because that job, oh gosh. And like I said, I was a greenhorn, so everything for me was new, everything for me I was learning, and she literally threw me into the deep end of the water. Like my first assignment, I just said, God, how am I going to do this? But he helped me. and I continue to grow and grow and grow and grow from there. But let me stop this video now before this becomes an episode. I was going to try to get to a certain part today, but I think we have to move that into part 3. I know that yet again, I personally feel like I have just talked in this conversation, but I want to believe that somewhere in all of this you have picked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nuggets that will just be beneficial to you, that will be enlightening for some people, that will be informative or educative for some people. This is my journey, and it's my hope that it has been a blessing to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So thank you for watching today's video. If this is your first time, if you're not a subscriber, subscribe. Greater things are coming your way, and watch all of the other videos. Like I said, there's a part 1 to this if you have not seen it. And there's another video that I did, deliver yourself from the spirit of others. I don't know why I'm picking that one in particular, but I know that a lot of people have said that really helped them. And then there's just so much more. Like I said, I'm going to be trying as from now on to bring out 2 videos a week, one every Tuesday and Friday. And next week is a special week for me, but I will tell you all about it in the next vlog. For now, I say bye. Have yourself a lovely weekend, and whenever you're watching this, just have yourself a lovely time and lovely life. See you later.